Get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Even with a turkey that you know will fold, you may be stranded out in the cold. Still you wouldn't trade it for a sack of gold. Let's go on with the show. The costumes, the scenery, the makeup, the props, the audience that lifts you when you're down. The headaches, the heartaches, the backaches, the flops, the sheriff who escorts you out of town. The opening when your heart beats like a drum. The closing when the customers won't come. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Traveling through the country will be thrilling, standing out in front on opening nights, smiling as you watch the theater filling, and there's your billing out there in lights. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you open and there you are. Next day on your dressing room they've hung a star. Let's go on with the show. Let's go on with the show.
So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. My name is Bobby Withrow, and together with Fran Manley, we're going to be offering this morning's service. We both have the honor and distinct pleasure of serving this church as worship associates. This church is a place where we need not think alike to love alike, where we come together to grow in our faith as we travel this journey we call life. Ours is a chosen faith, one that doesn't require us to believe in a specific creed, but a higher ideal of making this world better for all people. No matter who you are, where you come from, who you love, or how you identify, you are welcome here. There are just a few announcements this morning I want to highlight before we move into full worship mode. First, next Sunday will be the final day to bring in any single or twin-size sheets and other bedding to give it to Sleep in Heavenly Peace, our March Share the Plate recipient. Sleep in Heavenly Peace makes beds so kids in Buffalo do not have to sleep on the floor. There are over 10,000 kids right now in the city who have to sleep on the floor every night. The collection bin is located outside of the garden entrance in the bin. It looks like a little bed. Drop everything in there, please. These kids need it. Second, very exciting news, coffee hour is back. So starting in less than 1 hour, we'll be welcoming everyone back into our parish hall for fellowship, coffee, and maskless, if you want to, conversation. This is one of our first steps in our getting back to a new normal for our church. Now, I want to invite up Reverend Joan for a special announcement she wants to make about flowers.
First, I want to acknowledge that we have a couple of serious heavy hitters up here on the chancel today. We got 2 choir members, and also Bobby sits on the board, and Fran is also leading the Cafe Odyssey crowd. It's all very exciting to have all of, am I missing anything? Anyway, amazing people. Flowers. So good news. Last week I made an announcement saying we needed to get a flower ministry going again. And Sandy Bizant said, I'll do that, because we love volunteers, right? So if you're interested in sponsoring or dedicating an altar arrangement of live flowers, which you can take home or donate to the Veterans Association, please fill out one of these forms. Just make a note on it. You can dedicate this to a loved one, a dearly departed, the anniversary of a whatever, a birthday, the choir, whatever. You can just have fun with that, and you can make a note on it saying, yes, I would like this to be repeated every single year on such and such, as close to such and such a date as possible. And I'm doing a little pop-up fundraiser for Easter flowers. You can sign up for this too in the parish hall after the service during our mask-optional coffee hour. What this is you can get hyacinths, tulips, and Easter lilies. We're going to decorate the chancel on Easter Sunday with all of these gorgeous flowers, and then after the service you can take it home, give them away, plant them in your garden, decorate your Easter table, stick them in Easter baskets, whatever you want. Talk to me. I'm in the parish hall after service, and I'm going to keep my mask on just because that's who I am.
Thank you, Joan. Now, our final announcement is much more from the fabulous choir today. Remember that the choir is open to everyone, regardless of training, from those who with professional training music degrees to those who can't even tell you whether that note is an A or D, like me. You are welcome. On more personal note, for me, the music program here is actually what drew me to this church instead of going to the one that was closer to where I lived when we first moved to Buffalo. Choir is a personal spiritual practice and a part of the ministry that I can help offer this congregation. It's the part that I play. Now, there are other things going on with our church, both inside and outside of its walls. Read more in the insert in your order of service or in the weekly e-blast sent to your email inbox. This right here. Look at how much that is. We're starting to reopen. We're doing things. Bring people. Tell your friends. All of that. Now, let us put aside, as best as we can, the rest of our lives, everything that's going on, and center ourselves. Join me in breathing in, breathing out, and now let us worship together.
Let us call ourselves to be fully present in this moment with these words. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. You know these words. These words are written by Shakespeare. We quote him, but do we understand his words? What is our stage? What kind of parts do we play? What are our exits? What are our entrances? As we sit here and out in YouTube land, let us ponder these questions with the light of our chalice and our principles leading the way along this path we call life. Come, friends, let us worship.
Come mai creder degio di sì nero delitto, capace un cavaliero a di scoprire il vero, ogni mezzo si cerchi, io sento in petto e disposo ed amico, il dover che mi parla, disinganar la voglio, o vendicarla. Dalla sua pace la mia
Each week, Unitarian Universalists across the world gather together and light a chalice, the symbol of our free faith. Join with me in speaking our chalice lighting words. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world. So, this morning's story for all ages is about a giraffe. His name is Gerald. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad, because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Now Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor, and the lions saw him coming, and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald," the animals all sneered. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, don't be so daft." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor, and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing, and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed the cricket, who'd seen Gerald earlier on, "but sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music, if you really want it to." With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing around. He threw his arms out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful, his mouth was open wide. "I am dancing, yes, I'm dancing, I am dancing," Gerald cried. Then, one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle, we must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen. How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head up and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love."
Our first reading this morning comes from Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, entitled "In the Midst of a World." In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction, and who, with faith, rise and lead in freedom with grace and power. There must be those who There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage, or tenderness and wonder. There must be those whose grief troubles the water, while their voices sing and speak refreshed worlds. There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth's joys. There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor. And there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be religious witness. Each week, we take a good portion of our Sunday morning offering and give it away to a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month, our Share the Plate partner is Sleep in Heavenly Peace. There are thousands of kids in Buffalo who don't have a bed to sleep in each night. This adversely affects their physical health, mental health, and overall well-being. How can anyone focus on their daily lives if they don't have a bed, especially kids? Sleep in Heavenly Peace makes it their mission to help supply beds to kids in the city of Buffalo so not one more kid sleeps on the floor. You can read more about them in the insert in your order of service or in the e-blast. You can support this worthy cause by giving generously to today's offering. As always, there are several ways you can make your offering. You can use PayPal by going to our website and clicking on the blue donate button, or you can send a check by mail to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, 695 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. You can also arrange a regular automatic deposit with your bank. Or, of course, if you're here in person, just drop it in the offering plate when it comes your way. If yours is a gift to the Share of the Plate ministry, please write SHARE on the memo line of your check or check SHARE on the PayPal screen, and it will be shared between Sleep in Heavenly Peace and the church operating budget. If yours is a welcome gift to our congregation, please write Pledge 2022 on the memo line. Either way, please write UUCB on the important line. Let us give generously, knowing that our generosity is one way to make our principles alive in the world.
each time we gather, we don't gather in an emotionless state. We gather with our joys and our concerns, our happiness and sadness, our excitement and our dread. There's a lot of emotions in this country and this world right now. Sorrow due to what's happening in Ukraine, anger over the treatment of people of color and women when being questioned by a Senate committee, and incomprehension about a female swimmer who just wants to compete for her college. But there are also bright spots. The COVID numbers in our area are improving, flowers are blooming, trees are budding, and the sound of birdsong fills the air, maybe not so much this morning with the snow and cold. But this is the season of renewal, of hope, of faith. There is a mixture of lightness and darkness in the world, the same as we feel within ourselves this day. And now let us fill this sanctuary and let us give voice to the names of those who need lifting up out of the darkness and the names of those who are already there. As we sit here, the names spoken echoing in the space, let us think, hope, and dream of a better world where all of us are raised into the light. Amen.
Our second reading today is from a musical called The Drowsy Chaperone. Mike knows it. The narrator of the story is the man in the chair. This is a part of his opening monologue. I hate theater. Well, it's so disappointing, isn't it? You know what I do when I'm sitting in a darkened theater waiting for the show to begin? I pray. Oh, dear God, please let it be a good show. And let it be short. Oh, Lord in heaven, please. 2 hours is fine. 3 hours is too much. And keep the actors out of the audience, God. I didn't pay good money to have the fourth wall come crashing down around my ears. I just want a story and a few good songs that will take me away. I just want to be entertained. I mean, isn't that the point? Amen. You know, there was a time when people sat in darkened theaters and thought to themselves, what have George and Ira got for me tonight? Or, can Cole Porter pull it off again? Can you imagine? Now it's, please, Elton John, must we continue this charade? It used to be, sitting there in the dark, you knew that when the lights came up, you would be taken to another world, a world full of color and music and glamour. And you thought to yourself, my God, when are they going to bring up the lights? Oh, how things have changed.
Don't expect to hear something like that from our pulpit every Sunday, do you? It's been exactly 9 months since the last time I was up here giving a sermon, and it seems like it was just yesterday. You know, I signed up for this date a couple months ago, and about a month ago, I'm like, well, I should probably start figuring out what I'm going to talk about. So I looked up to see what today is. I mean, more than the 27th or a Sunday. You know, like, is this, International Day of Pancakes or something fun like that? So I looked up stuff. This is what I got on Wikipedia. Today is the Armed Forces Day in Myanmar. Okay, yeah, I don't really feel like talking about a sermon that's talking about a military junta. So next, International Whiskey Day.
Oh yeah.
I got nothing on that one either. Sorry. Maybe some other day. World Theater Day. Now that's something I can talk about. I love doing theater in high school and college. There's got to be something in there. We heard that earlier. And so I remember in high school, when I was doing theater there, we always quoted Alexander Pope. Act well your part, there all the honor lies. Looking back, we took that a little too literally. We took it to mean that we needed to do well on the stage and not miss lines and entrances and exits and all that other fun stuff. Now that I'm a little older, I see more what he meant. Act well your part, there all the honor lies. For me, this means live a good life, an honorable life. Done. End of the sermon. Go out, live a good life. I'll see you next week. I'm just kidding. You guys can stay seated. Each time I heard Pope's quote, I also thought of what Shakespeare wrote in As You Like It, like Fran spoke earlier. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. The speech continues, but those first 3 lines always strike me. Between Pope and Shakespeare, we have acting well, and we have our exits and our entrances. Acting, exits, and entrances, they obviously go together. Okay, maybe I can write a sermon or something about this. Yeah. I always talk too fast, I'm sorry. But how do these go together, and how can we actually talk about them in a sermon? Throughout our lives, we experience such a range of emotions that we start to believe that we are living in a piece of theater, acting out our lives as if we're on a stage. Maybe today it's a romance, or it's a tragedy, a satire, a drama, a farce. Over time, we rotate through every genre that exists over and over again. We enter this life, we act our parts, and then we exit. Now, there are two questions that I have. One, what are our parts? And two, how do we act them well? I want to focus on that second question first. All of us here today are here because something about Unitarian Universalism spoke to us, right? Right? Yes? Shake your heads. Maybe it's because we are a non-creedal faith. We don't have a particular set of beliefs that we must subscribe to. Instead, we could say we focus on our deeds, the acts we do. The deeds we perform are in concert with our desire to see this be a just world for all people, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, black, indigenous, Latinx, and on and on. We literally declare this in our chalice lighting. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world. For Christians, today is the fourth Sunday of Lent. One of the passages being read at Catholic Masses today is from Ephesians. I want to read it here. Brothers and sisters, you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for light produces every kind of goodness and righteousness and truth. Try to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the fruitless works of darkness, rather expose them, for it is shameful even to mention the things done by them in secret. But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, for everything that becomes visible is light. Unfortunately, right after this part of it, Ephesians becomes very, very problematic in the following verses and chapters, so we're going to forget that happens. Stuff about like how wives submit to your husbands and slavery stuff, so I'm not even touching that one. But this passage does highlight what is a universal construct. Badness is darkness, goodness is light, and light can banish darkness. For our deeds to do good in the community, they must be just. They must take into account the lived experiences of those we are trying to help. We must lift up the voices of the oppressed and amplify them, helping share their stories so lightness is shined upon the darker parts of the world. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't have a book to tell us how to do this, how to banish this darkness. We don't even have a book that tells us in what order our service should be set up. The closest thing that we do have, we have our principles. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe in our 7 principles. 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. 5, the right of conscience in the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. 6, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And then 7, respect for the interdependent web of life of which we are all a part. As we go out and do the work that is needed to make this world a just world, one in which all are truly created equal, hold our principles close and follow them. They will help you to act well your part. Now we come to the first question I had earlier. What are our parts? In acting, we are giving our parts by the director. In our lives, we have to choose the parts we play. For me, for my job, I decided I want to become an electrical engineer. I love being an electrical engineer, don't get me wrong, but I didn't follow my dream. When I was younger, I dreamed of becoming a Broadway performer. Never mind that I've never taken a dance class or a voice lesson at all in my life. I mean, I told you I can't even read music earlier. But this was the part that I wish I could have played. I love being an electrical engineer, but it would have been really cool to be able to do my job and be on Broadway, right? There are other parts we play in our life: child, parent, spouse, friend, and more. As Unitarian Universalists, I also see myself as playing another part, that of a social justice activist, a true social justice warrior, and I mean that in the best way. Secretly, I think we all hope to become these activists whose names are known to everyone based on the countless good deeds and work we do on behalf of the oppressed. Or maybe that's just me. To be known by others for all that I do through my actions and my words, to lift others up, such that by my example I can inspire others to do the same. But I know I'm not that kind of activist, and I won't be. You won't see me at a protest. I don't have any poster board at home ready to go for, at the drop of a hat for any sort of protest or anything. My name probably won't be on a letter to our senators. My voice won't be heard on the phone advocating for a specific cause. I'm not that kind of activist. This is not the part that I play. My role in life is not that kind of activist. I wasn't cast in that role. Instead, I'm more of a sit-at-home and do things kind of activist, as are many of us. I'm not a community organizer. I don't have those talents, and just thinking about that role makes me feel slightly anxious. That is way outside of my comfort zone. I could never do what others do. But I can organize. You need a fundraiser laid out logistically? Email me. You need to figure out a schedule for an event? Call me. That stuff I can do great. I'll just do it like a project manager like I do at work. We're set. Social justice work doesn't happen as a result of just one person. It happens because a group of like-minded individuals banded together to work for a better world. This group doesn't consist of only the public activists. It also includes the accountant activists, the marketing activists, the admin activists, the logistical activists. Don't forget that the Montgomery bus boycott started with Rosa Parks, but there were others who followed and did other less public things. There were those who continued on with the good fight by babysitting, drove carpool, and operated phone trees. Those in these parts of social justice work are sometimes forgotten about. Just because they aren't out in the street with posters and signs or banners doesn't mean their commitment isn't just as strong. It doesn't mean that they can't be considered loyal to the cause. It doesn't mean that they are anything less than fully committed. It does mean, though, that they have found their parts and they know what their parts are for them to play. Their parts are to support others who do the public work, but together they do the work of lifting up the oppressed, casting out the darkness until light shines over all in the world that is just. A world where Langston Hughes' dream is fulfilled, a world in which the long arc of the moral universe has finally fully bent, a world where no one has to cry out for somebody to love them. We all want this world to be a just world, so let us go out and do that hard work. Let us go out and do it. We will find the roles we want to play. We will act well our parts. We will follow our principles and hold them close. We will act out a well-principled life. And we will live it well because we must. May it be so. Now, we're going to sing. It is not in your order of service because someone, me, forgot to send it to the office. So we are going to sing hymn 86 in your gray hymnals, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
Strength
Please remain standing as we say the words together for extinguishing our chalice. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
We all have our parts in life, as we all have our parts in the fight for justice. Once you find your part in life, act it well, for there all the honor lies. May you go forth from this place knowing that you are good and knowing that you are loved. May you go out from among your community blessed and be a blessing to others. Though we have extinguished the flame of our chalice, we have not extinguished the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again. May it be so, and amen.
This song really belongs lock, stock, and barrel to Frank Sinatra. He's really the only person who should be allowed to sing it. But I will, as they say, fools rush in, where angels fear to tread, and I will play the fool today. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, more than a few, and so I seek my soul's redemption. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blow
but all I understand is the word mortality.